JJ,
Dad.
welcome back to Breakdown. It is July 26th, 2025, and it's a Saturday, and we are going to.
Going to Ann Arbor.
All right, we're going to preview the Michigan Wolverine football schedule this year. The mighty Wolverines. Hail to the victors.
Hail to the Victors. One of two schools to beat the last year's national champions.
That's true. JJ,
Yes, sir.
let's start off talking about the coach,
The coach, Sherrone Moore.
Sherrone Moore. Uh, Michigan has suspended him for 2 games this season.
Yeah, they gave him a self-proposed suspension in hopes that that will pacify the NCAA.
Okay.
What do you think?
Two questions. That's a good. I don't know. I'm gonna ask you two questions. Two questions. Uh, should he still be getting suspensions for this?
I- you know, it's really hard to take any of it seriously at this point. I guess so. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know what the like in prior precedent. I think a coach did receive like a similar suspension type situation. So I mean,
Okay.
Jim Harbaugh got suspended 2 years ago. So
For a lot more games. This is
yeah,
the school. University of Michigan is suspending him. The commissioner has written a letter to the NCAA. People are theorizing or guessing that in that letter he said that their two game suspension should be sufficient, and the NCAA should just drop it after that. What say you? Will the NCAA drop it?
honestly, I truly have no idea. I don't even know what power scope the NCAA has anymore at this point in time. It's really hard to tell. It might be a situation where the juice isn't worth the squeeze fighting this, but at the same time, if they do think that they could win, it might be worth it for optics' sake, just to show that they still have just a modicum of control. It's really interesting. I'm very interested to see what happens in this situation because I truly don't know. What do you think?
I think the NCAA will drop it after the 2 game suspension. Interestingly enough, he's not missing the first 2 games.
Well, no, I mean, why would you do that? The first game is against a real team.
Western Michigan is a real team. I mean, no, New Mexico
Oh, okay. I'm at the first two. I know Oklahoma is
is the second
the
game.
second game. Well, New Mexico is I
New
don't know,
Mexico was 5-7 last year.
5-7. Yeah.
But we're going to get into Michigan's schedule and go through that. But before we start with their schedule, what is the minimum that Michigan needs to do in order for them to declare they have had a successful season? Is it win it all again? Is that the minimum?
No, I think all they have to do minimum is to make it to the college football playoff.
Okay.
I think if you're one of the final 12 teams in Coach Sherrone's second year, I think that shows like a substantial improvement. I think that the offense, he is the former offensive coordinator. They need to show, monumental growth. No matter who's under center, they're going to need to have a much better offense than they did last year. And I think 9-10 wins should get them. I mean, I think 10 wins, they're solidly in the college football
I
playoff.
agree. I agree.
9 wins, I think it just kind of depends, kind of like how Alabama was last year. I think it depends on what's around them and what happens. Clemson snuck in, beating SMU at the last second, or else
Yeah.
Alabama would have made it. So I think it just kind of is contingent on,
A lot of things. No, Michigan. They finished the year 8-5.
8-5.
They finished the year on a high note. Their last 2 wins.
I would say so.
Their next to the last win was against Ohio State.
Fourth year in a row.
In Ohio State, in Columbus, and then they followed that up with a win against Alabama.
Yeah, and they had a lot of starters and role players sit out that game.
Yeah.
Alabama had a lot of starters play that game, and yeah, Michigan's defense just demolished them. It honestly made you think that the secondary is going to be pretty promising next year.
Okay. So Michigan's come back this year. What's their strength and weaknesses this year?
Strength and weaknesses. Well, I mean, I think to reiterate, I think the secondary looks pretty good. They had to play a lot of the year without Will Johnson because of his degenerate knee issue. That led to him slipping in the draft. So I think a lot of freshmen and sophomore corners got a lot of experience that they might not have otherwise had. And I think they really congealed by the end of the season. They really came together and they really were playing like very fast and without hesitation. So I think the secondary is a strength. Weakness, they lost a lot on both lines, offensive line and defensive line.
Okay.
Defensive line, they had the best defensive tackle tandem in the history of the program, you could argue. Kenneth Gratt and Mason Graham.
Yeah.
So with those two gone, I mean, those were two first rounders that are going to have to replace. And the offensive line was not great last year. They lost quite a bit. So, those are the two question marks.
Well, to me, the biggest question mark
Is everybody knows what the biggest question mark is.
It's always the guy who holds the ball.
Yeah, the guy in the center, quarterback.
Okay, and Alex Orji, who started a few games last year, he's at UNLV this year.
Yeah, he's at UNLV.
They got transfer in from
Fresno State.
Fresno State.
By way of UCF, Mikey Keane.
Mikey Keane.
Go ahead. Well, he's just in a competition with a superstar, #1 recruit in the country, freshman, Bryce Underwood.
That's what I was going to say. The
hometown kid, not 20 miles away from campus.
That's right, from Detroit. Getting paid money. Getting paid real money.
Getting paid big money. Yeah.
Real big money.
Real big money.
Play football at U of M.
Certain presidents might not want that amount of money to be given out to players going forward. But
really quickly, since we mentioned money, I'm going to mention that the House versus NCAA has pretty much been settled, but there's still potential for more litigation. But because of that, one thing they've set up is I forget the exact name of it, but some kind of committee, CSC, to review NIL deals over $600 to make sure that they are legitimate deals. Mm-hmm. Is that going to have an impact? And is that really going to hold up in court?
Absolutely, it will not hold up in court. I think the Supreme Court, the one thing that they've shown unity on is that they do not appreciate the way the NCAA has allowed things to go as it pertains to, players getting paid and where the money goes. I do think all that would lead to is the old system where people are getting paid under the table and you have bagmen and everything like that. So I don't think it holds any merit. I think, it's just hard to put a line in the sand and say, well, this amount of money is legit, but this amount of money isn't legit.
I agree.
So I think until you collectively bargain and have the athletes treated as employees, which federal government made quite clear that they do not want to have happen. I think this is just going to be a situation.
Speaking of NIL, Larry Ellison in 2023, he got married. Larry Ellison is the second richest man in the world. Not in Michigan or wherever, but in the world. Yep. He married a lady who was an alum of Michigan.
And is he not an alum too, or?
I don't think he is. I'm pretty sure he is not.
I know he's not nearly as big a fan as the woman he married. That's for sure.
Yeah, and he married her in 2023, and that just kind of like a major war chest for the Wolverines.
Yeah, I mean, you need one. Look at Oklahoma State with T. Boone and without him.
You know what? I hear what you're saying. T. Boone, rest his soul. He's gone on now. But that's huge for Michigan. But JJ, another room. I'm gonna go on to the players, then we're gonna get to their schedule eventually. Another room in Michigan State, position room that I think needs to improve is the receiving core from last year.
Oh yeah.
Their wide receivers caught 80-some passes for less than 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Granted, the quarterbacking wasn't well stable. They got the guy from Indiana, 6'5" receiver who redshirted last year, but suppose he was started out as a quarterback. At the media day, Sherrone Moore said he's a big play waiting to happen. Huh? And his name is, what's his name? Donovan McCulley.
Yeah.
From Indiana. They need to improve their receiving core dramatically, and up in the quarterback position will happen. But JJ, this is my question to you.
Yeah.
Who's going to win the quarterback battle? Or is there really a battle for the quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's really a battle. I mean, a true freshman, you never know with true freshmen. Some great players in college football, had the weight sit a little bit under backing up some not so great starters just to get seasoned, just so they could see the game. We don't know, Bryce Underwood's developmental curve, and we know Mikey Keane would be a substantial upgrade over what they had last year in Davis Warren, but he's not a superstar either. So you would expect and hope that someone with as much talent and potential as Bryce Underwood would be able to harness it and beat out Mikey Keane by the season start, but. Yeah, it's tough.
If they have a freshman starting, does that what did that do to their chances of making to the college football playoff?
It really reduces the margin for error. Their defense is gonna have to really fly around, and there's gonna be a substantial learning curve. By game 2, Oklahoma, Brent Venables has not, had the career that he wants to start his head coaching. Career down there in Norman, but his defense was very, very good last year, and they're expected to be very, very good this year. So
okay. You want to get into Michigan's this year's schedule? You got other things you want to talk about before we get there?
No, we can talk about Michigan's schedule.
Okay, they start the year off, JJ, hosting New Mexico.
Hosting New Mexico, the Lobos.
Yeah. Before we go by game, I just want to say a few things about Michigan. This year, Michigan plays more road games than I think they have played in the last 20 years, maybe. And I haven't gone back and looked at their schedule, but they got 6 road games, JJ.
Yeah.
Most years it's like 4 or 5 road games.
Yeah, they got.
They got to go. You mentioned go to Norman.
Yeah, they have a non-conference road game. They normally save their non-conference plate for, hosting.
Exactly. And JJ, before we get started on their schedule, they have, of their 12 regular season schedule, they have 9 teams that finished below 500 last year. They only played 3 teams that were above 500 last year.
Yeah.
Knowing that, do you think that improved their chances? Well, you know what? Let's go through them one by one. Give me your take on the New Mexico game in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, I think that should be, a real opportunity to see who's winning the quarterback battle. I would imagine we're going to see a lot of Mikey Keane and Bryce Underwood.
I agree.
I think whoever starts the game is going to be the leader in the clubhouse, but I do think, Michigan should roll over New Mexico. I just think that their Jimmies and Joes should be able to out-execute whatever New Mexico has. Just by talent alone, I would imagine that to not be too much of a contest.
Okay, now you say the Oklahoma game, the second game of the season, is a real game. That's on the road
in Norman, and they need it. Brett Venables needs that game.
Agreed.
He needs to have a good season. And
who needs it more?
Brett Venables.
I agree that too. If Michigan loses that game,
and they will be favored to lose, I would imagine Oklahoma should be the favorite.
Okay, I tend to agree with you. If they lose that game, do they have a shot at making the college playoff?
Yeah, they have a shot, but their margin of error really, really closes.
Okay. Who you picking in that game? And I know you got a prejudice background because you're a big Michigan fan. So who you picking in that game?
I'm gonna pick Oklahoma. They're getting the Washington State transfer John Mateer. Everybody said he's supposed to be better than Cam Ward, and Cam Ward just went number 1 overall. So we'll see. We'll see how he looks. But
so both teams upgrade their quarterback position from last year.
Yeah, but John Mateer is a little bit more proven because he had an excellent year in college, and he was the number 1 player in the transfer portal this past season. So.
Okay. I think Oklahoma lost quite a few of their wide receivers from last year.
To injury and transfer, yeah.
Right. I would have to go with Oklahoma on that game as well. Michigan's quarterbacking position is a big question mark for me right now. You get a freshman there. You talk about big name freshmen, and the first thing I think about is Texas. They had a big name freshman who probably had gone any other school, would have been starting his freshman and sophomore year, but Manning at Texas did not start either his first first 2 years on a consistent basis, unless there was an injury. So, is there an advantage, JJ, to sitting out like Manning did, or is it more better to just getting thrown into the fire and producing?
I think it kind of depends. I think for all that said and done about, you know, modern day quarterbacks, I think in the NFL, like you kind of throw rookies into the fire. But I think for the most part, college quarterbacks still sit a little bit. I mean, I think it can't hurt. I mean, you have your guys like
Raiola?
yeah, Dylan Raiola, who started off really high and then trailed off at the end of the year, hit that freshman wall. But I was thinking like guys like Matt Barkley for USC who came in, guns blazing, and Jimmy Clausen at Notre Dame. You have like examples of guys who come in and are pretty good, but
True.
For the most part, I think it helps the development of a quarterback for them to have the opportunity to sit and watch, because it's so rare for him to have that opportunity. I mean, he starts every game he's played at quarterback for
probably since 8th grade.
Since before. I mean, I would imagine, so it's just an opportunity to see the game from a different perspective. I think it can only help.
Exactly. What about the third game against CMU? And before you give me your take on that, I'm going to talk Western Michigan, because Michigan right now just agreed to play Western Michigan next year in Germany.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So let's go with the third game. CMU coming into town, into Ann Arbor. How you take that?
Yeah, my alma mater, CMU, the Chippewas, didn't have a great year last year.
They were 4-8 last year.
Yeah, Jim McElwain, I took a step back from the head coaching duties. Yeah, I guess they just really missed Connor Stallions on the sidelines.
So you take it as an easy win for Michigan?
I would expect Michigan to be a pretty good get-right game for Michigan coming off the Oklahoma game.
Let's talk about the fourth game, in which another be back-to-back where Sherrone Moore will not be coaching. This is against the real team, Nebraska. Nebraska was 7-6 last year, and you mentioned Raiola already with the hot start, and it'll be relatively early in the year. Who needs that game more?
Oh, I think that game. That's a good question. I don't really know who needs it more. I think both teams and both coaches could use it.
I agree.
I think both could use it, but Nebraska, they got that big money wide receiver from Kentucky, Dane Key. They got him transferring in. I think with it being a home game at Nebraska, and that being like Nebraska's first big game of the year. I mean, they play Cincinnati, but other than that, they don't play any Power 4 conference teams. I think that Nebraska really wants that. But it depends on what happens in the Oklahoma game. If Michigan gets demolished, they would need that. They would need to have a good showing against.
Yeah, I think Nebraska, being a home game for Nebraska, I would pick Nebraska to win that one. So right now I got Michigan 2-4 after four games. And then,
2-2 or
yeah, man, my math is bad. 2-2.
Yeah.
And then they get a bye, and then after that they Wisconsin come into town. Give me a winner on that one.
Yeah, I think even though Nebraska needs it more, I'm going to go with Michigan over Nebraska. But when Wisconsin, but transferring over to Wisconsin.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I think Wisconsin. That's another coach that really, really needs a win. Luke Fickell, after all the success he had at Cincinnati, has not found that same type of success at Wisconsin, and Wisconsin has gone. Yeah, they're kind of in the dark. So I would imagine Michigan would be favored in that game. I would imagine Michigan would win that game. But Wisconsin's going to be desperate.
So then after that, they go to USC. USC was 7-6 last year. How you got that game? How do you have that game?
I think that's another game where Michigan won't be favored. I would expect Oklahoma and USC to be two of the three games that they would not be favored in. I would expect USC to win.
I do too. I think traveling to the West Coast is always a disadvantage. So I got them after 6 games 3-3. You have them at 4-2. Okay. Okay. So after that, Washington comes to Ann Arbor. Washington was 6-7 last year. I got Washington losing that game and Michigan winning that game.
Yeah, Washington has a dynamic dual threat quarterback In the bowl game, he threw for 300 yards and ran for 200.
It is impressive.
I really like Washington's quarterback, but with it just being at Michigan
Auburn, yes, sir.
and with
Big
some of the
house.
other holes that Washington has, I would imagine Michigan would win that one.
And after that, JJ, Michigan got to travel to their arch rival, Michigan State Spartans. Not really their arch rival, but they traveled to East Lansing, from Ann Arbor to East Lansing.
Pretty significant rivalry, especially between the players.
And we're going to address Michigan State in a different video. But how you see that game?
Yeah, I mean, I think both teams will really want to win that. You have two second-year coaches. Michigan State will be home. Michigan State, their schedule is it's a little backloaded. I think that they could go off to a hot start. And I think
Is that Michigan State's Super Bowl? That game right there.
A lot of years, I would say it is just like Ohio State is Michigan's, but I think Michigan State probably has different ideas of what success is this year. I think getting bowl eligible and Aiden Childs playing really well is the most important thing.
Okay.
But I think that's the most important game on their schedule this year. What say you?
I think it's gonna get ugly. I hate to see it. I'm a big Michigan State fan, but I think it's gonna get ugly in East Lansing. That's my take. But let's go back to Michigan, JJ.
You think it's going to be ugly for who?
You have to ask that question. If you have to ask that question, I think it'll be a great game then if it's not going to be ugly.
I don't know. I think I do believe in Aiden Childs. I think Michigan State might have the second best receiver in the conference.
Oh, I love their receiver as well.
After Jeremiah Smith. Yeah, I'm putting Jeremiah Smith first though.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Oh, you got more faith than I do. Michigan State, I don't think they have a defense at all. But that's just me. We'll talk about them later. JJ, after Michigan State, after coming to East Lansing, Michigan will host Purdue. Purdue was 1-11 last year.
They did win a game.
Got a new coach this year.
That's what happened when you win.
When you go 1-11.
Yeah.
Get a new coach.
Yeah, that's normally what happens.
Plus, they got a quarterback transfer from Arkansas, Malachi Singleton.
Okay. Well,
I like him a lot.
I hope he does well. I hope, in mop-up duty, when, Purdue's down by 3 touchdowns, he does pretty well. But
I think he will be starting.
Okay. I mean, I think he'll be starting too. I think
Okay.
even when he's starting, he'll be mop-up duty.
Okay,
pretty soon. Purdue's pretty bad.
Okay, Michigan ends the season, JJ, with Northwestern, Maryland, and Ohio State. Northwestern was 4-8 last year. Maryland was 4-8 last year. How do you see those two games?
Yeah, I mean, I think those games. I think Northwestern, they were 4-8, but they were, their coach had I think their coach showed a lot more than the record did, and I think they competed. I think Michigan will still win that game, even though it's at Northwestern. I think there'll be more Michigan fans than there will be Northwestern fans.
Absolutely, and then they go to Maryland. It might be the same thing in Maryland.
I mean, Michigan does have a huge presence on DC.
I know. So
in Maryland last year, they went 4-8. They had issues in the locker room. Mike Laxey talked about how he paid a freshman too much money, and the senior didn't like that.
Yeah,
fights in the locker room.
He said he almost lost the locker room. Now I remember Michigan State having a coach, and they asked him if he lost his locker room. He said, "I don't know," and he got fired.
Yeah,
that's Bobby Williams.
Yeah,
from way back when. But
he was the guy that followed the guy. You don't want to be the guy that follows the guy.
That's true.
Versus Mike Locksley, I mean, he followed not that great a guy. So
for him to say he lost his team is unusual.
It is very unusual, but I mean, I think that he just has so much confidence in himself. He considered himself like the chemistry guy, the locker room guy. Okay. So he said, for that to come from me, that shows you the state of where college football is at. And I think he's right. I mean, I think, at the end of the day, you're gonna have to pay players that have proven it on the field, or else you're gonna have locker room issues.
And the thing about it, though, most schools now they got a general manager to do the money thing, and so the coach can't get blamed for that. I know. Sam Pittman at Arkansas said that was the greatest thing that ever happened for him was because he didn't have to decide how much to pay the guys. But JJ, let's talk about Michigan's last game of the season. Who do they play?
Defending champion Ohio State Buckeyes.
I've heard of them before.
Yep.
Uh,
Complete with
who will need that game more on the 29th of November? Will it be? It's going to be in Ann Arbor. Who will need that game more?
I think it depends
who will
on
want it more. Who will need it more and who will want it more?
Well, I think Ohio State wants it more no matter what. But I think who needs it more, I think it depends on what Michigan's record is. Okay. If they have 2 losses and they have an opportunity to make it to the playoff, I think Michigan would need it more. Okay. So I think Ohio State will make it to the playoff regardless. But if Michigan has 3 or 4 losses and like their playoff picture is out of it, they might be checked out. Ohio State might need it more for playoff positioning, but I mean, Ohio State has lost 4 in a row to Michigan, so I think, obviously they want it the most. But I could see Michigan needing it more if they do have a chance to make the playoff.
Ohio State, if I say they were embarrassed by Michigan last year, what was it, 13-16 win or 13-10 win? Michigan won 13-10 last year in Columbus, and Ohio State was embarrassed. How much do you think they have thought about that game? Even though they won the national championship last year.
I think it's different people have thought about it different amounts. I think a senior. I think Brian Day thinks about that all the time.
That's what I'm saying.
I think that I can't imagine there being a thought that's more on his front of his mind than beating Michigan. But I don't think Jeremiah Smith really cares that much.
Okay.
I don't think Quinshon Judkins. I think if you're transferring in and you hadn't lost to them once, and that that was either the first time you taking the loss or you didn't play and you're Julian Sayin, the starting quarterback. I don't know how much you care. Okay. I think you're more concerned about winning the national championship and elevating your draft stock. I think those are your 2 major concerns.
I agree, but I also think Ryan Day is going to make them think about that game. Right, even right now, he's making them think about it. Ryan Day got 2 new coordinators, offensive and defensive coordinator. Matt Patricia, you ever heard of him, JJ?
Yeah, the
people in Michigan will remember him quite well.
Yeah, head coach Detroit Lions, the defensive coordinator in New England, yes. And then the offensive coordinator in New England for some reason that one year.
And now he's the coordinator at Ohio State.
Back to the defense, yeah.
I don't know. I'm picking Michigan State. I'm picking Michigan to lose at Ohio State, to Ohio State in Ann Arbor. And JJ, at the media day last week, Sherrone Moore said Michigan will not be planting any more flags. Now, this is my question to you. Mm-hmm. Will Ohio State be planting flags?
I don't know.
At Ann Arbor, in Ann Arbor. If they win. So
I think it's tough to do that when you're 1-4 in your last 5 games. I think it was easier to do it when you're Michigan, you win 4 in a row, you sweep like Jack Sawyer, the hometown Ohio State Buckeye. You win 4 in a row. It's like, this is our stadium. I think you can do that. 1 win, I think, is a little premature to be planting flags, but I don't know. They might.
You know what? Unless the commission of the Big Ten issue a warning the day before that game or the week before that game to say no flag planting, Ohio State will plant a flag. They will dance all over the emblem, the Wolverine emblem, helmet, whatever. They will do everything to make sure Michigan know they won that game. That's my take.
Well, first you got to win it.
Absolutely.
The best laid plans are mice and men and all that.
I know.
But I don't think Tony Petitti has the spine to issue that type of announcement, but we'll see.
But JJ, what have we not mentioned about Michigan that we need to mention?
I think we've gone through their schedule. We've talked about the new faces and the new places and what they need, what positions need to step up. I think we've covered everything.
No, I wanna go back and make sure I'm clear when I ask you what the minimum they need in order to consider a successful season, and you saying make it to the playoff. Beating Ohio State and playing a New Year Day game would not be considered a successful season for them.
If they beat Ohio State and that win keeps Ohio State from making it to the playoff, I would say that that's a successful season.
Okay.
If they win 9 games, beat Ohio State, have play a New Year's bowl game, and keep Ohio State from making the playoffs, then yeah, that's a success. Okay. But that's a lot to ask.
It is true. JJ, we out of here on the Michigan preview. I can't wait for football to get started, man.
Just less than a month.
WPS.
Who picks who?
We out of here. Bam.
Go Blue.